recording. Hi.
Hi, Alicia.
Welcome to Bubbles Interviews, Chris.
Thank you so much for having me today.
This video project is about people who took unconventional career paths. I would love to learn about your journey. Can we know about you?
Okay, so can we know about me and my journey? That is an interesting and a very deep question.
Yeah, existential.
Existential. So let's start with the easy part, right? My name is Kirsten, but everyone calls me Chris. And I am currently the founder of RecovAI. But you asked me about my career path. And to be completely fair, it is completely unintentional. So when I think about my childhood dream, I didn't have one. I didn't had a big dream of becoming something as I was a child. And to be completely fair, it's more about stumbling into a certain set of events that made me the person as I am today. And when I'm really honest, when you look back in your rear end mirror, ever so often, or at big events such as in your birthday or maybe like New Year's or anything like this, you start realizing that all these little moments in your life are actually meant to lead you somewhere. And it was not only arrogant but also extremely pointless to even believe that you could change these outcomes whatsoever yourself and manipulate them into a different outcome.
I see. That's a very deep reflection. I don't know how to follow up on this. Like, I want to understand about. I will ask a practical question, but I really appreciate that you bravely say that it was unintentional and you just took the path and you decided on the go. That's really, some people are not really aware and self-reflective on this. Thank you so much for sharing. I want to ask about maybe the practical side, that what happened, like what did you study? And maybe prior to that, maybe did you want? I know that you studied law. Was this intentional? Maybe no. Okay, great.
So I have to be very disappointed. I have to be giving you a very disappointing answer. But I think we can best start in the moment that I got some sort of understanding what I wanted to become. And it was when I was around 14 or 15 years old. And it was with my first boyfriend in high school.
Okay.
And he had a mother that I just adored and I truly looked up to. She was my first and only role model in my entire life, I think.
She was successful.
Not even. She had some sort of calmness about herself and she carried herself with some sort of grace. And I somehow found her extremely intelligent. And what I thought that I thought she was a psychologist. Turns out she was actually a labor doctor, like an occupational health doctor, so an arbo arts. I didn't know by that time what that was, and we were not so heavy developed in like tech and everything, so I never maybe even took the time to Google actually what she did, but in my mind she was a psychologist who understood human psyche.
Yes.
So when the time came around high school that you have to pick a certain profile to where you want to go to and which courses you have to take, I wanted to do psychology. But I was too dumb.
Okay, what happened?
So
was there an exam?
You have in the Netherlands, you have some sort of educational system, and I will skip this part because it's super boring. But long story short, I had the lowest education level possible, according to that school. So I started from the bottom up. And I started at an MBO, which is again the lowest education possible in regards to the thresholds of the Dutch educational system.
Yeah.
And I studied social and environmental studies. It's called maatschappelijk werk in Dutch. And I sucked at it.
Okay.
Because my mind was already on the bigger picture. The person who had her own practice, the person who could inspire people, the person who could have patience. But the person, as I was at that moment, was just a nobody. It was a person who was studying to be, for example, a nurse or a help or at least not something big and interesting, like on paper.
Yeah.
And from that point on, I think I started to shift gears into what I wanted in
That
life.
gave you time to do some kind of search to do what you really want to do.
Yes, and I think we can legit say search, because it felt like, when you look back, it's almost like a heroic story, you know,
Okay,
that you hear
great.
in like tales where a hero goes like on a quest
Yeah,
and,
you
and
have
has
the
to
main
slay
character.
and has to slay the dragons, you know.
Yeah.
It's really that story, and it's fun that we as persons we love these types of stories because somehow they resonate with us personally. And you also have dragons to slay, even if that means finding yourself a home in the Netherlands, you know, because your rent is due, or to find yourself a next job. And I think my trajectory changed every 2 to 3 years.
Ah,
Then I wanted to become a business owner. Then I wanted to be a jeweler. Then I wanted to be a lawyer. And I think that at one point, due to certain life events that were both traumatic as, you know, they learned you
roller
something.
coaster.
It was an absolute freaking roller coaster. I started to study law. And during that time when I was inside of my studies, I needed something to keep my pants up financially. And I started to do little side gigs, side jobs next to my studies.
Yep.
And I rolled into one of the most meaningful jobs I ever had because I finally felt seen. And this was in the startup industry. And it was a fintech company. And I started there as just a junior HR people person. So I had to do the contracts and the payroll and everything.
Yep.
But the thing is, it was a startup culture. And for the very first time, everything that was always too much about me was all of a sudden more than enough and actually very welcomed as well.
You found your environment.
I find my environment.
Yay.
And before I knew it, I constantly were busy with sick leave management. And somehow I just kept on circling back to this sick leave management, which brought me actually to the event of today. So like I said, when you look back in your rear mirror, I pushed, I forced, I told myself I wasn't good enough and I needed to do more. I studied law because I thought that was the only path to actual success. So my whole life I have been fighting against myself in a sense, to get a certain outcome, only to land exactly where I am today.
Great.
Because I see all these little events and notes happening that constantly led me back to this sick leave management.
What are you building right now?
So what I'm actually building right now is an AI platform that gives people their humanity back. And that sounds extremely wide, but what it does is that we live in a time and era where everything has to go faster and more sufficient and efficient. But when was the last time that someone actually reached out to you and said, hey, how are you doing actually? Because in our hang on efficiency and in our hunger to always be better, we forgot a very pivotal thing. And that is the only thing that we all want to be is seen. And we forgot that. And in something such as crucial as sick leave management, where people run against a wall, where they are, for example, burnout or with other illnesses, and they just cannot move on in life, the only thing that those people need is to be seen. But we are so hung up on legal processes, on costs management, on risk calculation, that we start building systems around that instead of freeing up actual space for an HR manager to say, hey, but how are you doing?
The companies feels like something like very abstract entities, and we forget that the individuals makes it valuable, the happy people inside of the company.
Yes.
That's good. how long you've been building this, and what is your current state in 2025 right now? What are you building on right now? Like
So-
for the future, when your successful story happens, and we can talk about Chris, what you were thinking in 2025.
I think that currently we are in the MVP phase and we're very fast going to push it to beta testers. And I have 2 people who believe not only in me but also in the product,
Yep.
and who are currently in my team. And it's oh gosh, it's a roller coaster. It's a mixture between feeling sometimes the loneliest person on the planet and then sometimes have an absolute god complex. So there's
Main character.
There's no main character. There's no in between. So yeah.
Great. I want to ask maybe what is your projections for the future? What are you planning, hoping for the future? Obviously, we will talk about your company, but other than this, what are you growing about? Other than what are you learning right now for the future self?
I think what I want to learn is to be a better person and a better CEO, where I can have or give the opportunity to my team members to be truly and absolutely seen. To create an environment where people feel confident to utilize their skill set, where people feel confident and strong enough to take the decisions that they were always afraid to take, to be inspired. So while RecovAI is now my love child between my present and my past, it's just a tool. It's just a tool to bring back the human touch in today's world. So
I see. Thank you. So, due to my back arrangement, I forget my bubbles today.
oh
I owe you bubbles. So let's imagine we are making bubbles. Okay, we are making bubbles, and I will get you bubbles after the
no!
call.
Okay.
I want to ask about do you remember when people ask you when you were a child, what do you want to be when you grow up? What was your answer?
I don't remember at all.
Ah.
And it's because I did not have a certain goal in life as a child. The only thing that I remember very vividly was, first of all, I always wrote stories. I created books that I typed into Word, and then somehow I printed it, and then I glued it on top of another paper. I'm not sure why, but that just needed to happen. And this story was about Mouse. And Mouse went on all types of adventures. And that's legit the only thing that I can remember from like my active childhood, that I loved to write and tell stories. But when people ask me what I wanted to be in life, I don't know. And to be completely fair, when I look back at my childhood, I was always pioneering in a sense.
You wanted to be yourself.
Not even that.
Okay.
I wanted to think of doing things faster and harder and better. So I wanted to change processes without even realizing I was doing it. So for example, when I was a child in the schoolyard, and it was like we had a break, where everyone was playing outside when we were children. And I remember vividly that I was always the one inventing games. Always.
Yeah.
So I brought everyone into my fantasy world and into creating something. But then often the moment where I had my vision so clear and I wanted the players to just play the game, often people then told me that I was too bossy. And then they just,
Sounds familiar to me.
yes. And then they just run off, did the game exactly the same way, but somehow they made it work.
Okay.
And I was then often bullied for being the weird one or for being like too much or whatever. So I think in my whole story there are like a couple of red threads that I saw from my childhood up till now, is that I first of all spent an entire life being validated. I wanted to be seen so badly, and I wanted to be validated so badly, you know. So I always pushed myself out there, put myself out there to some sort of get validation into my existence.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing is, I am a natural disruptor. And I just, you know, create a vision and some sort of future that I want things to look like and people to behave, and you know, it's just more like a playground kind of thing. And I think the other one that is very much also me is that I just love to create.
That's really nice. Thank you for being vulnerable also. That this is just like very human thing to do. Thank you. Maybe one last question about that. What would you suggest for people to learn from your experiences about this? Like validation was a great point. I think this is something that many suffer from. How did you overcome this, do you think?
I did.
Okay, you're learning.
I'm learning.
Great.
Because the thing is, every time when I catch myself into some sort of process where I want to earn validation, for example, at this very point, I want to have validation of investors.
Yeah, right
I
now.
want to have investors saying to me, you have a great product, and I see your vision so clearly, here you have 3 million. That's validation.
Only three?
That's only 3. But that's again what I always suffered from. Someone saying to me, I see you and I see what you're doing and I believe in you and I see your vision. I see the game that you have invented in the schoolyard and I want to play along. That's validation. But when you start thinking about why would I even want to lend an investment, and you remove that validation, and that requires a certain self-reflection and the ability to sometimes stand still, take a step back, get out of it. Then you see that I want 3 million to protect my people, so they don't overwork themselves, so that they can create along with me, so they could quit their jobs for all I care, to skill up rapidly, to eventually give HR managers now a tool again, so the HR managers can breathe. They can show up for others, so these people feel seen again. So it's like a chain reaction that I hope to achieve. But that is only possible when I stop chasing for validation. And a tip that I could give everyone who just doesn't know what to do in life, or don't know which career path to take, or what the next step is, the biggest and most important advice that I could give to someone is take a pause. And I don't mean go abroad and spend 3 years, you know, traveling Guatemala. Okay, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the simple art of sitting for a second and taking a pause. Because sometimes the things that you worry about so much will be resolved anyways, without your interference. Sometimes when you just are jammed in your coat and you don't know how to proceed, throw on your coat, take the dog for a walk. We're in this beautiful park. We're in this beautiful park. Take a walk, and then you will see the moment when you stop thinking about it, the answer will like pop up and creativity will flow. And also, that's like my curse, where I'm trapped in my head and I spiral endlessly about what I want to say and how I want to do stuff or which content to create. I start to notice a couple of signals in my body, and that's the advice that I want to give to everyone who wants to achieve something of some sort or wants to be a better person. Learn to listen to your body. Because when I start breathing very high up in my lungs, like this feeling, when I get a headache, when I get too dizzy, I lost connection. So that, if I notice that, I first of all do some grounding exercises. Breathe through it, right? Get back into your core. Have a walk. Read a book for all I care. But just like pause it. Just get out of it. And then often I see the trap behind it. So for example, the investor trap. I like to call this the investor trap for me. Where I just want someone What I actually want is that someone looks at my ID and says, this is a great fucking ID, and I see the vision that you're having, but I would tweak it here and there a little bit, or it's a perfect ID, continue. So then I feel that I'm in need of that validation, that little tap on the shoulder that says like, great
Go,
done,
girl.
go, good girl.
Yeah.
And then I realized, okay, so I can take actually a step back, because now I'm operating again from a place of validation, a place of chasing, a chase of wanting to be seen so
Yeah.
badly.
Self-validation also really helpful. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
So that's the golden tip, I would say. And I mean, if you read, for example, I don't know, Bible studies or anything, they always talk about like this guidance, and this guidance can only come through when you take a moment to listen. And I don't care if you believe in God, yes or no, or believe in a bigger thing, or believe in source, or whatever. Maybe just even believe in yourself. But sometimes the best thing to do is just to take like a very deep breath,
It will be all fine.
and it will be all fine.
Yay. Great. Thank you so much. Fijne dag. Doei.
Bye!